So I was working in IT, travelling up and down the country, doing contracts in Bath, Ministry of Defence, and I was good at what I did. I managed to do IT going from the beginning of desktop support level 1 up until architecture for networks within 2 or 3 years. But then I realised how many manuals you had to keep reading, and you were just more or less earning the same money, and there was no real potential growth after the architect role, except to go into project management. And that was something that sort of dawned on me, that there's no real growth to continue aspiring from that level. So then I always knew about properties, and always knew that was a way to maybe move forward in entrepreneurship. And so I came across an article on the internet in terms of how to buy below market value properties. I opened that book and it opened my eyes up in terms of what properties you can buy, and how you can buy properties for no money down, and how you can get mortgages, and how you can build up your portfolios. And it was unheard of that time. It was a chap called Palmdeep Verdesha, I think his name was, and that was the first time I read something in the property sector. So I remember printing off I bought the course and I printed off every single page and studied that manual and lived and breathed it, although it was quite difficult to first get into the property sector. But the way I actually got involved in the end is I started building up a network within the property industry, and made a couple of connections and kept on meeting up with them every single week, learning about properties, living and breathing every single question and answering properties. This was simultaneously while I was doing IT architecture, and I had to travel. I think the last one was in Sheffield or in Leeds, the last contract that I was doing. So I was doing that, then coming back. I was actually Burnley, and Burnley's, when I was driving back, I'd be on the calls on the way back from work in terms of contacting the vendors and see if we can negotiate a deal, and see if we can, what are their motivations for selling. So the reason why I got into property development really essentially was to make money, do deals, have flexibility, enjoy my life more, and benefit for my family more, because I was working away all the time, so I was never around, and I wanted that flexibility anyway in terms of creating wealth. So that was the whole motivation behind it. And the first property that I bought on a buy-to-let perspective was a rundown property in Cheetham. I think somebody offered me the property, and I got an address, and I was working in the daytime, and I came back about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening in the middle of winter, went to have a look at it, and it looked a reasonable street in the middle of Cheetham in North Manchester, which is it was not in the greatest types of areas, but it was reasonable as well. I was that desperate to get into properties, I didn't care what kind of area or any downsides of it. I just thought of everything as positive. So from that moment on, I looked at the property, and the price seemed reasonable. I did a little bit of research. It was not fantastic, but it was not bad either. And I just wanted to get my foot on the ladder. So the next day I managed to get a bridging loan to buy the property, signed the contracts for it, I think completed within a week. And then when I completed, I actually drove to the property a couple of times, had a look, wondered what can we do with it, and tried to understand as much as possible about the area. I was getting no answers from the broker who actually offered me the property in terms of if it was occupied or whether it was going to be empty. I didn't know anything. I was a bit naive and young and just too hungry. So we bought the property and then managed to get the bridging Went to look at it on the first day, and as I went to knock on the door, the first knock, the door actually swung open. It was an old wooden door, and when it swung open, I realised there was something not quite right here. And I remember old wooden flooring. This is in the middle of the night, so it was probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock after work when I was coming back into Manchester. And I shouted, "Hello, hello." And there was 2 sitting rooms on my right hand side. As I walked in, there was nobody in there, but what struck me is the rooms were completely sparse. There was nothing. It was just wooden old flooring. And then when I walked in, I looked at the kitchen, and the kitchen was in a complete state. It was old, dated. Everything looked like it was a complete rip-out job. And as I walked up to the stairs was creaking then. When I got to the halfway off the stairs, I heard someone scream, "Who's that? Who's that?" And then when I went to the top of as I gathered, there was I think 2 or 3 people in the top floor in one of the bedrooms. Again, the bedrooms were sparse with no furnishings or anything. And a crackhead came along. A crackhead said, "This is my house. What are you doing in here?" And I said, "So I've just bought this house today. I've just completed on it." And I said, "Oh yeah, I know that you're buying this house. I'll be gone by tomorrow." So I was a bit taken aback and thought, okay, why are you still here? Have you not got your money? I said, "Yes, we've got our money, etc. So first thing in the morning, you won't see any of us. We'll be gone by then." So I was a bit taken aback, and I was so nervous. I didn't even know what to ask them. Like, "Can you give me a key or anything?" Actually, I think the broker brought me the key the next day. And so yeah, I managed to go in on a Saturday when it was daylight, not working. And I went in. There was nothing in the property. It was really sparse. And I remember walking out through had a kitchen extension, and I walked through to the back, and I could see half the house was actually split. All the brickwork was just cracked in one big line going across the middle. So it dawned on me that there were structural issues, and I realised that this may not be as straightforward as I thought it would be in terms of just cleaning it up, painting, putting carpets, getting a new tenant. So consequently, I had to find a builder. I think 3 or 4 builders came to give me a price, and I managed to find one builder, agreed a price structure. This was all on top of while I was working, and I think I was travelling still to Burnley every single day and coming back. And it was quite stressful in terms of all the materials that we had to find and the amount of bricks that we had to get in ordered and cement. Anyway, the brickers managed to tie in or take the whole back facade off, rebuild it all, tie in all the bricks with the structure. And I think I had to get a structural surveyor in to make sure it was all tied off properly. And so it must have been about a 2-month project. We got it all painted inside, and I think I got another group of builders to come in and paint it all and sort out the flooring, sort out all the cracks in the walls, because it was a real dated 1920, 1930 type of house. And yes, I remember there was so much damp in front of the front bay windows and on the ceilings. So I had to get all the windows changed, the doors, brand new PVC door on the back, cleaned up all the garden. It must have been about 4 or 5 skips worth of rubbish that had to go in the end. And then at that point before, I think I came across a lettings agent who was around in the same vicinity, and I contacted them, said, "Can you get me a tenant?" And they put it on the market, got me a good tenant. And I was very apprehensive with so many questions in terms of, is there anything further that I should do? Is the tenant going to do things correctly? And what other issues that I was just thinking too much into the first one. But once we got it rented, I got regular income, and then I managed to get a remortgage because my first priority was to get off the bridging loan. I was paying an expensive rate, I think maybe 1.1, 1.2% per month. So it was actually taking a big portion of my wages. And the remortgage took about 3 months or maybe 2 months. Once I got that remortgage in, I could actually breathe then, because I managed to remortgage to take some money back out of the property. And I think I bought it for maybe 115 or 110. And the value had increased by maybe to 145, 150. So I managed to get 80% of that. In them days, we can get 80%. Drew a little bit of money out, paid off some other things that were outstanding. But in a nutshell, what worked out to 5 to 6 months was my first, if you like, below market value, but value added type of property that allowed me to get my deposit back out from day one. And then that was the first chapter, and it was an unbelievably stressful time to just get the first one over the ladder. So I thought I'd share that with you.